Old man Williams was a very rich man. He had houses, cars, lands, hotels, and a big company. But now, he was getting old and weak. One day, as he sat quietly in his room, he looked at a family picture and asked himself, "Who really loves me in this house? Who will stay by my side when I'm sick and helpless?" So, Williams called his trusted lawyer, Mr. John, and his personal doctor, Dr. Maxwell, to his mansion. He sat them down in his study and said in a soft voice, "I want to pretend that I'm very sick. I want to see who in my family truly loves me. Who will care for me if I'm dying?" The lawyer looked surprised but nodded. "That's a wise idea, sir. But please, hide part of your money. I'll open another account for you and move half of your wealth there. That way, if anyone is pretending, they won't find everything." Williams smiled and agreed. The doctor also nodded. "I will tell your family that you have cancer and only 6 months to live. I'll act like it's true." And that was how the plan started. The next morning, Williams began to cough loudly. He stayed in bed and stopped going outside. He refused to eat well and looked very weak. His wife, Agatha, and the children, Frank the first son, David the second son, Cynthia the first daughter, and Rose the second daughter, all became worried. "Let's call the doctor," Cynthia shouted. Soon, Dr. Maxwell came and examined him in front of the whole family. Then he looked at them with a sad face and said, "I'm sorry. Your father is very sick. He has cancer. He may not live longer than 6 months." Everyone gasped. "What?" Rose cried out loudly. "No, Daddy. Please don't leave me." Even Frank and David looked shocked. Agatha put her hand on her chest and sat down slowly. In the first few days, the whole family acted like they cared. They brought him food. They checked on him. They sat beside him and said sweet words. But after a week, things began to change. Agatha stopped coming to his room. "I can't watch him suffer," she said. "It breaks my heart." Cynthia said she was too busy to stay long. David said he had to travel for work. Frank, the eldest son, started showing more interest in the company. One day, Frank walked into the study with some papers and told his father, "I think you should rest. Let me handle the company now." Williams looked at him quietly and nodded. Deep inside, he was watching and taking notes. Frank became the new face of the company. He changed the office, threw big parties, and started spending money carelessly. He bought a new car and went on vacations. Cynthia also took money and bought expensive wigs and clothes. David started spending lavishly on a young lady he met online. Meanwhile, Williams remained on his sickbed, pretending to be weaker each day. The only person who stayed by him all day was his youngest daughter, Rose. Rose would feed him, clean his room, sing for him, and even sleep on the floor beside his bed. "Daddy, I'll never leave you. I'll be by your side," she cried one day, holding his hand. One evening, Rose went to her mother, Agatha, and said, "Mummy, let's fly Daddy abroad. Maybe there's hope." But Agatha shook her head. "No, no. It's too expensive. What if he dies there? We'll waste money for nothing." Rose cried again that night beside her father's bed, holding his hand and wiping his forehead. On the other side of the house, Frank threw a big party and invited friends, telling them, "Soon, everything here will be mine." But unknown to him, their father was still watching, still listening, and still pretending. Every morning, Chief Williams' mansion was quiet, too quiet. Upstairs in his big room, the old man lay helpless on his soft bed. His face looked tired. His chest rose and fell slowly. His cough was deep and dry, like something inside him was breaking. His lips trembled as he whispered, Rose, thank you, my daughter." Rose, his last child, sat beside him, holding his hand gently. She smiled through her tears. "I'm not going anywhere, Daddy." She wiped his sweaty face with a warm towel, helped him sip water, and carefully fed him pap with a small spoon. Sometimes, when he coughed too hard, she would gently rub his chest and cry quietly when he wasn't looking. But what no one knew was that Chief Williams was pretending. He wasn't really dying. He wanted to know who truly loved him, and who was only waiting for him to die and take his wealth. One afternoon, when Rose stepped out to rinse the towel, Chief Williams turned to the wall and whispered to himself, "Is this how my life will end? This family I sacrificed everything for. They don't check on me. They don't care if I ate. Not even Agatha, my wife. I gave them my life, my sweat, my name. Now they are counting my days. They can't even ask, 'Daddy, how are you today?'" A tear dropped from his eye as he groaned softly. "Oh God, what did I do wrong?" While the old man lay coughing upstairs, music played loudly downstairs. Frank's, his first son, had turned the guest room into a party zone. He drank wine, laughed with friends, and made loud phone calls like he already owned the whole house. He didn't check on his father, not even once. At the company, one morning, Franks walked into the company office like a boss. He stood before the board members and said proudly, "Good morning. My father is very sick and won't return. From today, I'm in charge." Some workers clapped a little. Others looked uncomfortable. Mr. Dapo, an elderly man who had worked for Chief Williams for 28 years, stood up. "With respect, sir, Chief is still alive. Shouldn't we wait for his words?" Frank slammed the table. "Are you telling me what to do in my father's company?" Miss Linda, another staff member, stood up slowly. "Sir, we only want the company to be safe. Maybe form a team to support you until Chief speaks." Franks turned to the HR manager. "Fire all of them. I don't want to see their faces tomorrow." Within minutes, security men entered and started escorting people out. Mr. Dapo shook his head. "You're sacking me? I served your father like a brother." "I don't care." Franks shouted. "Get out." David, the second son, rushed into the office when he heard what happened. He stormed into the boardroom. "What is wrong with you?" he shouted. "Why are you acting like Dad is already dead?" Franks leaned back in the CEO chair. "Wake up, David. Dad has 6 months. I'm just preparing ahead. You're ruining everything he built." David shouted. "You think you're smarter because you went abroad." Franks snapped. David stepped closer. "Stop this madness, or I'll stop you." Franks pushed him. David punched him in return. Security rushed in and dragged them apart. Later that day, Rose heard about the fight. She was heartbroken. She called both of them into the living room. With tears in her eyes, she said, "Why are you two fighting? You know Daddy is not well. Why are you fighting over his money and company when what he needs now is our love? Did Daddy not give us a good life? Has he not sacrificed enough for us? Why betray him now?" Franks looked down. David was silent. "If anything happens to him, God will not forgive us," she said and walked away in tears. That evening, while Rose fed her father, there was a knock. It was Mr. John, the family lawyer. He walked in, sat down, and said quietly, "So, your boys fought today. Frank sacked all your old staff. The company is not safe." Chief Williams gave a weak smile. "Let them show their true colors," he said. "I'm still watching." Just then, loud voices came from downstairs again. It was Agatha and Cynthia. "I want to sell that land." Cynthia shouted. "Why are you keeping it when Dad is about to die?" Agatha replied coldly, "Let him die first. Then we'll sell it." Chief Williams heard everything. His heart beat faster, not from sickness, but from the deep pain of knowing that his wife and daughter didn't show him love and care, but were just waiting for his death. That night, Rose came into the room with a tray of warm pap. "Daddy, please eat something," she whispered. Chief Williams looked at her with tired eyes and said softly, "Thank you, Rose. You are the only one who stayed." She sat beside him and cried silently. "If anything happens to you, Daddy, I won't forgive myself." He touched her hand weakly. The next day, Franks held another meeting at the company. "I have a new idea," he said. "We'll start a luxury fashion line, clothes, bags, perfumes. I want it big." One worker raised a hand. "But sir, we don't have that kind of money right now." Franks laughed. "Then borrow." I said do it. It's still my father's company. When David heard about the risky project, he was furious. He left the office immediately and rushed home. He entered his father's room and saw Rose holding their father's hand. "Rose, give us a minute," he said. "No," she replied. "Whatever you want to say it here." David looked at their father, lying weak and quiet. "Dad, Franks is ruining everything." Chief Williams opened his tired eyes, looked at David, then turned his face away without a word, because he was still pretending, still watching, still keeping his secret. Days passed. Old man Williams kept pretending to be weak and very sick, still lying on the same bed in his quiet room. Rose stayed with him always, feeding him, cleaning his body, and telling him stories. But outside that room, things were getting worse. One morning, David sat on the balcony, looking very angry. He had just returned from the company and was thinking deeply. "So Franks thinks he can take over everything and waste all our father worked for? I won't fold my hands anymore." The next day, David dressed up and went to one of their father's biggest luxury hotels in the city, Sunray Grand Hotel. The manager, Mr. Felix, was surprised to see him. "Good afternoon, sir," the manager said, standing up from his desk. "I came to tell you that this hotel is for sale," David said bluntly. "What?" Mr. Felix gasped. "Sir, with due respect, this is one of the best hotels your father built. He was so proud of this place. Please, don't sell it. This hotel means so much to him." David's face changed. "Are you questioning me in my father's property? You must be joking. If you try to stop me again, I'll sack you myself." Mr. Felix bowed his head. "I'm sorry, sir." But he was not at peace. As soon as David left, he picked up his phone and called the family lawyer, Mr. John. "Hello, sir. David wants to sell the hotel," he said quietly. "It doesn't feel right. Chief is still alive." "Don't worry," Mr. John replied. "I'll handle it." The next day, Mr. John sent trusted people to quietly buy the hotel. They acted like strangers. When David sold it to them, they kept the document safe and handed everything to Mr. John. The lawyer hid the hotel papers in his private safe to keep them for Chief Williams, because he knew the old man was only pretending. But David didn't stop there. He also sold one of the large plots of land their father had left untouched for years. The same thing happened. Mr. John arranged trusted people who bought the land. They gave all the documents to him, and he locked them in his safe. David was happy, thinking he had made money, but unknown to him, his father still owned both the hotel and the land. 3 days later, news reached Cynthia. She stormed into the living room, where David was sitting, watching TV. She screamed, "David, you sold Daddy's hotel. And the land. Are you mad, David?" David turned around, surprised. "Cynthia, don't shout at me. I'm not a child." "You idiot," she shouted and slapped him hard across the face. "That land was meant for me. Don't you ever sell anything again." David slapped her back, and they both started dragging each other's clothes. Chairs fell, flower vases broke, and one of the maids ran to call Rose. "Miss Rose, please come fast. Your brother and sister are fighting." Rose ran in and saw Cynthia and David shouting and struggling. "What is wrong with you two?" she cried. "Why are you dragging our father's property when he's still very much alive?" David shouted back, "Is he really alive? Look at him lying down like a corpse every day." Rose's eyes filled with tears. "Daddy worked so hard to give us a good life. Is this how you're repaying him? Fighting and selling everything. Please stop." Cynthia hissed and walked out. David stormed out too. 2 days later, Agatha, their mother, entered Chief Williams' room. Her face was full of disgust. "This room stinks like death," she said sharply. "I can't breathe in here. Why does it smell like someone already died?" Williams coughed quietly and turned his face away. Agatha shook her head. "You are only sick, not dead yet. Clean yourself up and open the windows. Do you think all of us will die here because you're sick?" She clapped her hands twice and shouted, "Driver! Security!" Rose rushed in. "Mummy, what's going on?" Agatha turned to her. "I can't stand this room anymore. Your father will sleep in the guest room from now on. Even a hospital doesn't smell this bad." "But this is my father's room." Rose cried. "You can't do this." "Shut up." Agatha snapped. I'm still his wife. I decide what happens in this house. The driver and security guards came in. Carry him, Agatha ordered. Take him to the guest room now. No, don't touch my father, Rose shouted, standing in front of the bed. But the guards moved forward slowly, looking confused. Williams remained quiet, still pretending to be too weak to move. As they lifted him up gently, he looked around the room with sad eyes. His heart was heavy, not because he was truly sick, but because of the pain his family was bringing to his soul. Weeks passed, and the once booming company of Chief Williams began to suffer. Frank's bad spending and careless decisions were showing. The accounts were dry, profits were dropping, and loyal clients were leaving. Staff were murmuring, bills were piling up, and suppliers refused to deliver goods until they were paid. The new fashion brand Frank's launched with a huge billboard was a total failure. The clothes were too expensive, the styles were poor, and no one was buying. They needed money, fast. Frank sat in his office, stressed and sweating. Where can I get money now? If this company goes down, I'm finished. Then a wicked idea entered his mind. I'll sell the Sunray Grand Hotel. That hotel was the most popular and expensive in the city. Their father built it with pride and always called it my golden house. That evening, Frank's called for a family meeting. Everyone gathered in the sitting room. Chief Williams lay quietly in the guest room upstairs, coughing as usual. Frank stood in front of the family with a fake serious face. The company is facing serious problems, he began. If we don't act fast, we'll lose everything. So, I've decided we must sell the Sunray Grand Hotel and put the money into the company. But before he could finish, Cynthia jumped up and shouted, Which Sunray Grand Hotel? The one David already sold. The whole room went silent. Frank's turned sharply. What did you say? Cynthia folded her arms. You heard me. Ask your younger brother. David stood up slowly. Agatha's eyes widened. David, is it true? You sold the Sunray Grand Hotel. Without telling me, your mother. David looked angry. Mummy, don't shout at me. Did you ask Franks about all the money he wasted in the company? All the parties and the fashion nonsense he started? Franks jumped up and grabbed David's shirt. You thief. You sold Daddy's hotel and kept the money. David pushed him back. Don't touch me. I won't fold my arms and watch you waste all our father's sweat chasing women and throwing money around like water. They both began to fight. Chairs fell, glasses broke, Agatha screamed, and the maids ran out of the house. Cynthia was shouting, You both are mad. You want to kill each other. Rose ran in crying. Why is there no peace in this house? Why? Our father is sick upstairs and you all fighting like animals. She looked at everyone with tears in her eyes. Why are we treating Daddy like he's already dead? Why are we so heartless? Has money blinded all of you? The whole room went quiet, but no one said a word. Later that night, Mr. John the lawyer quietly entered Chief Williams' room. Rose had just finished cleaning him and stepped out to get hot water. Mr. John sat close to the old man and whispered, Sir, I need to tell you something. Williams opened his tired eyes slowly. He gave a tiny nod. It's about David, Mr. John said. He sold the Sunray Grand Hotel and one large land. But I stopped strangers from buying it. I used my people to get the papers and kept everything safe. Williams blinked slowly, his heart heavy but grateful. Thank you, he whispered. Mr. John added, The children are tearing each other apart, sir. It's getting worse. But don't worry. I won't let them destroy everything you worked for. Chief Williams closed his eyes as another weak cough escaped his lips. His mind wandered. Is this what I raised my family for? To fight over things while I'm still breathing? Franks wasn't done yet. He stood in the middle of the living room, holding David's shirt tightly. His face was red with anger. Bring the hotel money, David. We need it for the company. David pulled away. For what? So you can use it to throw another useless party? Or fly some girl to Paris again? I'm not giving you a dime. Franks rushed at him again, but Rose jumped in between them. Stop it, both of you, she shouted. What is wrong with you? Daddy is upstairs, sick and weak, and you're here dragging money like animals. David shook his head, grabbed his car keys, and stormed out of the house. Frank turned to their mother, Agatha, his hands shaking. "Mummy, you heard him. He sold Daddy's hotel and kept the money. What do we do now?" Agatha calmly waved her hand. "Leave him. He's stubborn. If he doesn't want to bring the money, then sell another house or car." Frank turned sharply. "Whose car should I sell? It won't be mine, that's for sure." Agatha didn't blink. "Sell your father's white SUV." Just then, Rose, who had gone to get water for their father, walked in and froze. "Mama, what did you just say?" Agatha turned. "You heard me. Let him sell that car. We need money." "Mama," Rose said, tears rising in her eyes. "That's Daddy's favorite car, and you want him to sell it while he's still alive." Agatha hissed and stood up. "Don't you understand? We need funds to support the company before everything crashes." Rose shook her head. "Then tell Frank to bring back the old workers he sacked. Those people know the roots of the company. They can help rebuild it." Frank scoffed. "Never. They were rude and useless. They were loyal." Rose shouted. "Loyal to Daddy. And if he trusted them, we should too." 2 days later, the mansion gates opened slowly as 3 big cars drove in. It was Chief William's extended family, his younger brother, 2 cousins, and an elder from the village. They all stepped out, carrying fruits and drinks. "We heard Chief is not feeling well," the younger brother said. "We came to see him. It's been too long." Before they could take 5 steps, Agatha came rushing out of the house, her wrapper flying behind her. "What are you people doing here? Who invited you?" The elder man stepped forward calmly. "Madam, we only came to see our brother and pray with him." "Pray? Pray for who? When he was healthy and rich, you didn't come. Now he's sick, you all here like vultures." The cousins looked down, ashamed. "We didn't mean any harm." Agatha clapped her hands loudly. "Go back to your village. There's no space here. We don't need fake family love. Leave this house now before I call security." "But please, can't we at least greet him?" "I said leave this place now," Agatha shouted. One of the guards standing near the gate quickly came forward and opened the gate wider. Without another word, the guests quietly returned to their cars and drove away. From a window upstairs, Rose had watched everything. She wiped her eyes in pain. She turned to her father, who lay silently in bed, but his heart was broken. Even though he didn't move, a single tear rolled down his cheek. That evening, the house was still tense after the drama with the extended family. But things were about to get worse. David stormed into the sitting room, breathing heavily. He had just returned from work and his face showed fire. "Mama," he called out loudly. "Where's Mama?" Agatha came out from the kitchen, holding a glass of orange juice. "Why are you shouting like that?" David pointed angrily. "Why did you give Frank permission to sell one of Daddy's houses and his car?" Agatha rolled her eyes. "David, must you shout every time you speak? I gave the order because we need money to save the company. Or do you want people to laugh at us?" David moved closer. "Mama, with the way Frank is running things, what makes you think the company won't crash again, even if we sell 10 houses?" Agatha frowned. "Don't talk like that. He's your elder brother. Show him some respect." David raised his voice. "Respect? He's not acting like a senior brother. Mama, the problem started when he sacked people who had worked with Daddy for years. The company was doing great. Then he began to sack the old workers and replace them with his useless friends who know nothing about how a company grows. He started acting like the new owner of the company, lavishing money, buying things we don't need, and parading himself as if Daddy is already dead. Now you gave him the order to sell Dad's SUV and house." Agatha shouted back, "But you were told to bring the money from the hotel you sold, and you refused." David threw his hands in the air. "Mama, please don't start. If you keep allowing Frank, he'll sell all of Daddy's properties, one by one, and the company still won't grow." There was silence for a moment. Then David added, "You know what? I think it's time. Call Mr. John, the lawyer. Let him come and read Daddy's will. Let everyone get what belongs to them. That way, no one will touch what doesn't belong to them." Agatha was quiet for a while, then she nodded slowly. Fine. I'll call him first thing tomorrow. The next day, by 10 a.m., the living room was full. Cynthia sat on one side, scrolling through her phone. Frank crossed his legs, smirking. David folded his arms, waiting. Rose sat in a corner, worried and quiet. Their mother, Agatha, sat in the middle like a queen. The door opened, and Mr. John, the family lawyer, stepped in with a leather folder. "Good morning, everyone," he said calmly. "I was told you asked for the reading of Chief William's will." "Yes," David answered quickly. "We want to know what belongs to each of us before everything is gone." Mr. John cleared his throat and opened the folder. "Unfortunately," he said, looking around the room, "your father has not written any will yet." "What?" Cynthia shouted. Mr. John continued, "Yes. He was planning to do so just before he fell ill. He even booked an appointment with me, but he became too weak before we could meet." Frank stood up angrily. "So you mean there's no will at all?" Mr. John raised a finger. "Even if there was a will, it wouldn't be read while he is still alive. The law is very clear on that." Agatha looked confused. "So what now?" Mr. John looked at all of them one by one and said, "Now, you wait. And you take care of your father. He is still alive. Stop fighting. Stop selling things. Stop tearing the family apart." Rose looked up with teary eyes and nodded slowly. But Frank's just hissed. David rubbed his forehead in frustration. Cynthia rolled her eyes. And upstairs, in the quiet guest room, old man Williams lay on his bed, listening through the small crack in the door that Rose always forgot to close. He heard everything. And as he coughed quietly, a small, sad smile formed on his lips. "They have shown me who they truly are," he thought silently. A week after the failed attempt to read the will, the mansion was still filled with tension and silence. Everyone moved around with heavy faces, barely speaking to each other. But Agatha had something else on her mind. That afternoon, dressed in her finest lace gown and gold earrings, she stepped out of the house and drove to the home of her rich friend, Margaret, a woman known for her boldness and sharp tongue. They hugged at the entrance like old schoolmates. "Ah, Agatha, I heard your husband is very sick," Margaret said as they sat down in her beautiful living room. "I hope he gets better, but what's the doctor saying?" Agatha sighed heavily. "The doctors said it's cancer. And the worst part? He may not survive it. It's like I'm already a widow." Margaret leaned forward. "Huh, this is serious. How are you coping?" Agatha folded her arms. "Coping? With what? I'm not just sad. I'm lonely. No one to talk to. No one to hold me. He just coughs all day." Margaret raised a brow, a sly smile playing on her lips. "That means he can't satisfy you anymore." Agatha lowered her voice. "That part. I've been thinking about it." Margaret chuckled. "You're still young, Agatha. And you're beautiful. You don't need to suffer because of a sick old man. If I were you, I would find a young man. Someone strong. Someone who can satisfy your need." Agatha's eyes lit up. 2 days later, Agatha met Ben, a handsome, charming man in his early 30s. She met him at a spa she visited often, where he worked as a gym instructor. They exchanged numbers, and soon they began meeting in hotels around the city. Ben treated her like a queen, always praising her beauty, massaging her feet, and whispering sweet words in her ear. "I don't know how I survived before meeting you," Agatha told him one evening. Ben smiled. "You deserve to be loved, sweet mama." They kissed. From that day, Agatha completely abandoned her sick husband. She stopped entering his room, stopped checking his food, and left everything for Rose to handle. Her days were now filled with laughter, wine, makeup, and hotel visits with Ben. But it didn't end there. Agatha wanted to keep Ben close. So one morning, she shocked the entire family by bringing Ben into the mansion. They were all sitting in the living room when she walked in with him, holding a small leather bag and smiling proudly. "Everyone, meet Mr. Ben," she said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "He is our new personal driver." Cynthia turned sharply. "Mum, I thought we already have a driver." Agatha waved her hand. "Yes, we do. But Ben will be my personal driver. He will take me anywhere I want to go, Anytime I want. Franks raised a brow and looked at Ben from head to toe. David rolled his eyes and whispered, more like personal toy. But Agatha didn't care. She ordered the housekeeper to give Ben a room in the boys' quarters and told everyone, he starts today. Any problem? No one answered. But deep inside, tension grew thicker in the mansion. And somewhere upstairs, Chief Williams lay quietly in his room, unaware that another storm had just entered his home. That night, the air in the mansion was heavy and quiet, but Rose couldn't sleep. She had gone to the kitchen to look for her mother and noticed the main living room light was still on. As she turned back to return to her room, she heard strange whispers and giggles coming from the boys' quarters behind the house. Curious, she walked slowly toward the small building, barefoot, her heart beating fast. The closer she got, the louder the sound became. Suddenly, a soft moan. Her eyes widened. She pushed the door open, and what she saw made her freeze on the spot. There was a mother, Agatha, sitting on Ben's lap, both half-dressed and whispering into each other's ears like teenagers. "Mama!" Agatha jumped up in shock. Ben quickly grabbed his shirt. Rose shouted, her voice shaking with anger and tears, "Mama, what is this? So this is the driver you hired? This is what you've been doing while Daddy lies weak in that room?" Ben stammered, I was just... "Get out." Rose screamed, "Leave this house now." Ben ran out, not even fully dressed, his slippers flying in different directions. Agatha tried to speak, but Rose cut her off. "You abandoned Daddy, your own husband, for this." Agatha, breathing hard, said, "What do you expect me to do, Rose? I'm lonely. Your father is dying. He doesn't even talk to me anymore." Rose's face was red with tears. "Mama, he's still alive. You left him alone like he doesn't matter. You chose your own pleasure over the man who gave you everything." Agatha pointed a finger. "Don't you ever tell anyone what you saw. Not even your brothers." Rose turned and walked away, shaking, angry, broken. The next morning, Rose sat by her father's bed, watching him sleep, tears running down her cheeks. She whispered to herself, "There's no need to keep him here anymore. No one cares. Maybe, just maybe, something in the village can help." She wiped her tears, packed a few things, and quietly made arrangements with the mansion driver. By evening, she had taken Chief Williams far away, back to the village where he was born. In the village, as soon as Chief Williams arrived, news spread fast. Chief is sick. Chief is back home. His extended family, uncles, cousins, elders, and even villagers, came out to welcome him. Some brought fruits, some brought palm wine, others brought old herbs. They sat around in the compound, shaking their heads sadly. This man was so kind to us. He gave me money to open my farm. He built the community school." They began to contribute money, food, and advice. One elderly woman said, "There is one herbalist, a strong one. His medicine is even more powerful than hospital drugs. We will call him." "Let's try," another added. "We must not lose Chief like this." Rose watched, touched, and surprised. So many people love my father, and yet his own household turned their backs on him, she thought. The next day, the herbalist arrived. A tall, dark man with white chalk on his face and a long bag of roots and bottles. He entered the small room where Chief Williams lay. He looked at the old man quietly, then turned to Rose. "Let me speak with him alone." Rose nodded and stepped out. The herbalist sat beside Chief Williams and leaned close. "I see you have strength in your eyes," he said slowly. "You're not as weak as they told me." Chief Williams sighed. "Because I'm not sick." The herbalist sat up sharply. "What?" "I don't have cancer," Chief Williams said, his voice low but firm. "It was all a plan, a test." The herbalist blinked. "A test?" Chief Williams nodded. "To know who truly loves me, who will stand by me if I am helpless. Only my lawyer and doctor know. I kept it for my children, my wife, and everyone else. I needed to see their hearts." The herbalist looked deeply into the old man's eyes, then slowly smiled. You are wise, Chief. Very wise. You wanted to see beyond the surface." Chief Williams closed his eyes slowly. Now I know. The herbalist sat still for a moment, looking at Chief Williams with great respect. Chief, he said quietly, you are not just a rich man, you are a man of deep wisdom. Many people fear death, but you used it as a mirror to see true hearts. Chief Williams gave a tired nod. Thank you, my friend. But what I have seen has broken me. The herbalist placed a warm hand on his shoulder. You are not alone. You still have one child who truly loves you, your daughter Rose. She's the light in your darkness. Hold on to her. Outside the room, Rose paced the courtyard, watching the herbalist's bags, her heart pounding. Please let him have good news, she whispered. The herbalist finally stepped out. She rushed to him. How is he? Is he okay? The man gave a gentle smile. Your father is stronger than you think. Rose's eyes lit up. You mean the herbs are already working? The herbalist chuckled softly and patted her shoulder. Just keep doing what you're doing. Your love is already healing him. Rose was confused, but she nodded anyway. Thank you. Back in the city mansion, Frank roamed the house like a roaring lion, checking documents and shaking his head. The company is dying, he muttered. No money is coming in. Investors are pulling out. He barged into the sitting room where Agatha and Cynthia were watching TV. Mama, Cynthia, if we don't act fast, the company will shut down completely. Agatha shouted. Act fast again? Frank, we are not selling anything. You can close down that fashion brand you opened. Cynthia rolled her eyes. Why don't you sell your car this time? Frank glared at her. Don't be stupid. David walked in from outside, overhearing them. He laughed bitterly. We are not selling anything. Maybe sell that house of yours. Frank jumped up. At least I'm trying to save the company, not sitting around like you. David pointed at him. Save the company? You're the one who ruined it. From the moment you took over, all you've done is waste money and show off. Keep talking. Frank barked. You're just jealous because I'm the first son. Jealous. David shouted. You're mad. They rushed at each other again. Cynthia screamed. Stop it, you fools. You'll bring down the roof. Agatha just stood up slowly and walked out. She was tired of all the shouting, but she didn't know the storm was just beginning. Back in the village. For the first time in many weeks, Chief Williams walked out of the small hut with help from Rose. He wasn't pretending now. He was just tired. Truly tired, not from sickness, but from heartbreak. The extended family gathered around, clapping. Chief is getting better. Thank God. We will continue to pray. An elder pulled Rose aside and said, My daughter, your father's spirit is strong. Take care of him, and he will live long. Rose smiled, though her eyes were wet. Thank you, sir. That night, Chief Williams sat under the stars on a wooden chair, covered in a thick wrapper. He looked around at the quiet compound, the smell of firewood, the soft sounds of crickets, and peace. Something he hadn't felt in years. He whispered to himself, maybe this is the beginning of something new. That evening in the village, the sky turned orange as the sun slowly disappeared behind the palm trees. The compound was calm, with the soft breeze of evening sweeping through the trees. Chief Williams sat quietly under the mango tree, staring at the dusty ground. Rose came out with a warm bowl of yam porridge and placed it beside him. Daddy, eat something. You haven't touched anything since morning. He looked up at her. His eyes were tired, but there was peace in them now. Rose, he said gently, sit down, my daughter. There's something I must tell you. Rose blinked. What is it, Daddy? Chief Williams sighed and took her hand. I have to tell you the truth. Everything you saw, the sickness, the doctor's report, the coughing, the weakness. He paused. Rose looked confused. He continued, it was all a test. I was never sick. I don't have cancer. Rose gasped. Daddy, what? I pretended, he said slowly. Because I wanted to know the heart of everyone in our family. I wanted to know who truly loves me when I can no longer give money, when I can't speak, walk, or stand. I wanted to see who will wipe my tears and who will fight over my treasures. Rose sat frozen, her eyes wide. So, All this time?" Chief Williams nodded. "You were the only one who stood by me," he said, tears welling up in his eyes. "You fed me. You bathed me. You even brought me to this village, hoping to find a cure. But I wasn't sick. I was watching, and you made me proud." Rose covered her mouth, shocked beyond words. Later that night, Chief Williams asked the elders and the extended family members to gather under the big tree. He stood, this time without help, and raised his voice. "My people, I have something to confess." The elders and cousins looked at each other in surprise. "I was never sick. I never had cancer." They gasped. "It was a plan," he continued. "I wanted to test my family, to know who truly loved me, and who only loved my wealth." The elders stared in silence. Chief Williams raised his hands. "And now I know, but I want to thank all of you. The way you came together, your love, your support, your prayers. I will never forget it." He turned slowly. "Especially you, my daughter Rose. You stood beside me even when everyone else walked away." Everyone clapped. One elder stood up. "Chief, you have taught us something great. This world is full of pretenders. You are truly wise." Another woman added, "Your daughter is a blessing. May God bless her more." Chief Williams smiled for the first time in many weeks. The next day, the morning sun rose bright and bold. Rose helped her father pack his small bag. He wore a clean native outfit, walked with strength, and smiled at everyone in the compound. When they reached the car, the villagers gathered again. "Chief, safe journey. Come back to visit O. We love you, Chief." Chief Williams waved at them, blowing kisses as the car drove off slowly down the red dusty road, back in the city. It was like a dream. As the car entered the mansion compound, the gatemen opened their mouths in shock. "Chief." They watched in disbelief as the old man stepped out of the car, not coughing, not limping, not weak. He was strong. He was alive. He was back. Rose stood beside him, holding his bag. "Let's go in, Daddy," she said softly. He nodded. "It's time." But the real shock was waiting inside. Inside the house, Cynthia was scrolling through her phone on the couch when she heard the door open. She turned casually, then froze. Her mouth dropped open. "Daddy." She jumped to her feet and ran toward him. "Daddy, you're walking. You're okay. You're not coughing." She hugged him tight. "I can't believe it. I thought. Just then, David came downstairs, wearing headphones. He pulled them off in shock. "Wait, what's going on here?" He saw his father, standing, alive, strong, not weak, not dying. "Daddy." Frank followed behind, holding a bottle of wine. When he saw his father, the bottle dropped from his hand and shattered on the floor. You're fine." Chief Williams looked at his 3 children and gave a small smile. "Good afternoon." From the kitchen, Agatha's voice echoed. "Who broke something again in this house?" She stopped as she stepped into the living room, and her eyes caught the one man she thought would never walk again. Her heart nearly jumped out of her chest. "Darling." She grabbed the wall for support, staring at Williams and then at Rose. "You're well. You're strong. You're walking with strength." Rose stood beside him proudly. "Welcome home, Daddy," she said softly. Chief Williams nodded and walked straight into his master bedroom without saying a word. The whole house went quiet like a funeral ground. Everyone turned to Rose like bees. Cynthia grabbed her hand. How did this happen? What did you do?" David added, "The doctors said he had late-stage cancer and was going to die. How is he standing like nothing happened?" Frank scratched his head. "This has to be a miracle." Agatha whispered, "It's like I'm dreaming." Rose gave them a calm but cold stare. "I didn't perform a miracle. I just gave our father what he truly needed: love, care, and peace. Any other question, you can go and ask him yourselves." She turned and walked upstairs, leaving them in total confusion. Later that night, Chief Williams sat alone in his room. He opened a drawer beside his bed and brought out something surprising, a small black device. It was a CCTV camera. He opened a secret box under his bed and brought out 2 more. One by one, he connected them to a screen. And there it was. Footage. Clear recordings of everything that happened in the room while he pretended to be sick. Everything. All of it. Recorded. He took a deep breath. Then he picked up his phone and dialed. "Hello, Mr. John. Come to the house tomorrow morning. We need to speak. Bring all the documents I gave you. It's time." Downstairs, the rest of the family sat in the living room, silent. Each one lost in thought. The living room was heavy with silence. No one spoke. No one moved. David sat with his head low. Cynthia was biting her nails. Frank had both hands squeezed into fists. Agatha stood at the corner of the room, arms folded, eyes darting nervously. The family lawyer, Mr. John, sat with a calm face and a brown folder in his hand. Then, Chief Williams entered. Strong, steady, bold. He walked to the center of the room and stood like the lion he had always been. "I've already explained everything to Mr. John," he began. "Now it's time I tell all of you the truth." They all looked up, eyes wide, breaths held. "I never had cancer," he said clearly. "I was never sick. It was all a test of love, a test of loyalty, a test to know the hearts of my wife and children." He paused and looked at each of them slowly. "And you showed me who you truly are." His voice shook slightly. "Only one person stood with me. One person, from beginning to end, cared for me like a true child. That person is Rose." He turned sharply to Franks, David, and Cynthia. "I gave you all quality education. I gave you a luxurious life, cars, travel, a company, name it. And yet, the moment you thought I was dying, you didn't wait. You started sharing my properties like I was already in a coffin." He stepped closer to Franks. "You, Franks. My company was strong, doing great. What did you do? You sacked the loyal workers who built the company with me. Men and women who sacrificed for years. You removed them like trash and brought in your friends. You threw parties with company funds. You ruined what I spent 40 years building. You sold my house and my SUV. You ruined everything I built with sweat." Franks covered his face in shame. Chief turned to David. "And you had the heart to sell one of my biggest luxury hotels and one of my most treasured lands. You sold them like toys. Why? Because you didn't suffer to build them. Thank God for the kind of lawyer I have. He bought them back in secret just to protect my legacy." David dropped to his knees, weeping. "Daddy, please forgive me." "David," Chief continued coldly, "that hotel and land were meant to be your inheritance. You have sold them with your own hands. You have the money now. Good. Use it. Go and find yourself a job elsewhere, because you will never step into my company again." He turned slowly to Franks. "You too, Franks. The company money you lavished, the house and car you sold, that was your inheritance. It's gone now. You have nothing left with me. Leave my company. Find your own way and go look for another job." Tears fell from Frank's eyes. "Daddy, please." Chief raised his hand. "Enough." He turned to Cynthia. "You wanted to sell my land too. The only reason you didn't succeed was because you didn't have the documents. From today, you get nothing from me until you earn it. If you want to prove yourself, do it with action, not words. Only then will I forgive you and give you part of your inheritance." Cynthia fell to her knees, crying. Chief then turned slowly to his wife. "And you, Agatha, after everything I did for you, the comfort, love, and loyalty, you had the mind to bring a small boy, a stranger, into my house and sleep with him while I lay pretending on my sickbed." Agatha tried to speak. "Darling, please." "I am not your darling," he snapped. "You have 24 hours to leave my house. Pack your things and go. I no longer owe you anything." Agatha dropped to the floor, wailing. "Please. I beg you, forgive me." But Chief turned to Mr. John. "Call the security. Make sure she leaves peacefully but permanently." Then, Chief Williams smiled and held Rose's hand. "Mr. John, this is why I asked you to come today. All of my remaining properties, my estates, Houses, businesses, everything I have left now belongs to Rose." The children gasped. Cynthia froze in shock. Franks gripped the edge of the couch to steady himself. David cried silently. Chief continued, "Rose is the only one who showed me love, who believed in me, who carried me like a baby when I was acting helpless. And for that, she is now the sole inheritor of my wealth." He turned to Mr. John again. "Effective immediately, Rose is the new CEO of my company. Call all the workers, especially those loyal men and women Frank sacked. Tell them to return. Their places are waiting for them." Mr. John smiled. "Already in progress, sir." 1 year later, the company had risen again, stronger than ever. Under Rose's leadership, the business doubled its profits. New branches opened. Awards poured in. The old loyal workers returned and worked with joy, calling her Madam Rose the Wise. Chief Williams sat in his office, proud and peaceful, watching as his daughter held board meetings with confidence and wisdom. David and Franks found jobs elsewhere and tried to rebuild their lives. Cynthia kept trying to prove to her father that she had changed. Agatha, no one heard from her again. But Rose? She stood tall, respected, honored, and loved. Because when the test came, she passed with flying colors. The end.